Okay. Um, so now that we've recorded, brief overview. If you're spending money and have a contract, a requisition and a contract request must be submitted. They both have workflows that will reach purchasing and contracts. If you are not spending any money, in other words, it's a non-monetary or revenue agreement, you'll go ahead and submit that on a contract request. Tammy is with us today. She's with our e-commerce team here that helps support AggieBuy for the entire A&M system. And she's going to walk y'all through how to process that contract request, some of the fields that appear, and some of the things that you'll need to do to help make sure that it gets processed timely and we have everything that we need to get that in and out. So if there are no more questions or anything else that we need to chat about, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Miss Tammy to start going over the contract request. After that's done, I will show you how to um, look up your contract, keep track of the status of the negotiation. We'll talk about the status a little bit and then some available reports for those pending contracts that you might be waiting on. So without further ado, Miss Tammy, it's all yours.
Hi, everybody. As Brian said, I am going to go through the contract request with y'all today. And let me share my screen real quick. I have one already started, so y'all don't have to watch me type everything. So when you log into to start creating a contract request, you'll go to the sso.tamus.edu. You'll select AggieBuy. And I'm sorry, I have a different home screen set up right now. I apologize for that. To create a contract request, you'll select this ribbon on the left-hand side and then request and request contract. I already have one started. That's not the one. So when you create the contract request, it's going to ask you to name the contract request, and we're asking all system members to include their system member ID at the beginning of the contract request. It helps us keep track of the contract request. We have a folder that the contract requests go to when they're complete, and all the system members that use Contracts Plus right now see this folder or bucket. And when we have 7 different system members using the same product, it is hard to tell these apart if we did not have the numbers on there. So it is important for us to have the number on there. And then we ask you to name the contract request, like if it's a presentation agreement or a sponsorship, you can name it that way, or you can name the vendor that you're doing the contract with. Next thing we would do is add an attachment, and we can either click and drag an attachment and it automatically uploads, or you can go through and select your file. Okay, there I am.
Tammy, can you zoom in? You're on your wider monitor.
Let me see. Is that better?
No, it didn't move.
I don't know how to.
Just maximize it, then hold control and scroll up on your wheel and you'll zoom in on all of Chrome. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Probably
Okay.
a little bit more. That way everyone can read what's on the screen. Thanks.
Okay. All right. So I have my 2 attachments that I'm using for this contract request. And you'll see the 2 attachments here, and then it will also show you how many attachments we have. Next on our question screen, these are the basic or the standard questions that sections that show up at the beginning. As we answer questions throughout the contract request, there will be more or maybe more screens that show up. And we cannot submit a contract request until we have all green check boxes here. So right now, I only have one screen that's complete. Okay, this is our contract information screen, and this is asking, mainly on this screen, we're asking about the monetary, whether it's monetary or non-monetary, the dates of the contract. And I've already filled this out, so y'all don't have to watch me fumble through typing. So I'm saying that this is a monetary contract. We are not accepting credit card payments on this contract. Those are most of the time, those are going to be revenue. And then your contract value range, I chose 5 to 10,000. And this drives the contract request workflow depending on the value. And then I've typed $7,500 for this contract. This is a free text field. I answered no. This is not a revenue contract. And also this is asking about your members' delegated spend. And I'm below my members' delegated spend, so I'll answer no to that. And because you're doing a requisition as well, you're going to answer yes to encumber funds. And
Tammy, can you cover some of the options if they say yes to revenue?
Okay. If we answer yes to revenue, are they going to track revenue? Or do we know yet?
No.
Okay. So on this question, there is a screen that we have to look up an RC number, and this is what FMO uses to track payment. So I'm going to answer yes that I have the RC number. And then I'll enter it there. And then when the contract request goes to FMO, they'll have that information and helps them track the revenue for this contract.
Hey, Tammy, question came in the chat about what kind of a contract are you processing as an example?
This is, I just grabbed an old one. It's a Price Waterhouse. Yeah, this is really old. Sorry. This is an expense contract. It's actually for $56,000. So it's an expense contract with Price Waterhouse. So I'll change this back to, let me change this answer real quick. If you answer no to the RC number, you can change that to no. This is not a required field, so you can skip this. And then you would click on this link, fill out a quick form, and it will send an email to the vendor asking information from them. If you've answered or submitted the form, then you would click I have completed the form. I'm going to change this back to expense. Okay. On this free text field for the scope of work, you can copy the paragraph from your document, the scope of work, or you can say see attached. And right now, this is not an academic agreement, so I'm going to answer no to that. If it was an academic agreement, another screen would pop up with some more questions. And I'm going to say this is a new contract, but you can also select existing. And if you have a previous contract number, you can provide that, and that helps your contract managers when they're creating a contract, and they can amend or verify that this truly is an amendment, a modification, renewal, or extension. So I'm going to go ahead and change this back to new. Then we have our start and end dates. And there's the option to select the expiration date. You can type the expiration date in. Every contract has an expiration date, so don't select this. And then you can also select term. So if we're just doing, let's say 6 months, and I'm going to click the button next to start upon execution. So if the contract doesn't get executed until like 9/25, then it will be a 6-month term from the 9/25 start date. The auto renew, we don't like to answer auto renew. You don't have to answer these fields; they're not required. And then we have has the contractor supplier furnished a contract? And I answered yes, because I did attach a contract. We also have several templates, standard templates that are already set up that will merge. When the contract is created, they will merge and fill into a Word document. So I can say that I have a presentation agreement. And I'm going to answer no, I have not revised, or the second party has not revised this contract. And that only comes up if you choose a template agreement. So I'm going to change this back to yes, that I do have the attachment. And now you'll see I have a checkbox on my contract information screen, so because I filled everything out. The routing determination, this is going to be if you're buying software, hardware, audio, video equipment, anything like that, that needs a IT review or EIR review. Do you want to go into that any further, Brian?
No, not really. Just just selecting from the drop down will drive routing to both accessibility and security. If depending on which one you select, more questions will populate on the next screen. So go ahead and pick computer software up at the top. Save. Okay. Now over on the left, under routing determination, you'll see that 2 more fields have appeared. One for EIR, which is accessibility, and one for IT security. You only have to answer those questions if that situation applies. So it's a dynamic form. We don't want you filling out EIR stuff if you don't have to. But this will help your accessibility and security office there in Victoria to help understand what protections are needed to be placed into the contract, whether it is accessible or not accessible? Does an exception need to be granted? What level of security needs to be applied to it? Is it cloud computing services? So that's the purpose of those questions being asked at this point.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to change this back to this purchase does not involve an EIR listed above. And then when I save, you'll see that those two screens went away over here. Now we're on the department information screen, and this screen is very important. This is the main screen that drives the contract request workflow, which is your departmental approvals. So you'll start by selecting Texas A&M University, Victoria on this dropdown. The next screen is selecting the department. So we're going to click on the magnifying glass. We're going to choose the arrow next to CLM TAMU Victoria. And I'm going to choose Academic Affairs and Library. So you'll drill down, I call it drill down. You'll drill down to the department until there are no more arrows. And then you'll put your department code. I know this isn't the right one, but I'm just putting that for now. I picked Kendra off of a workflow chart that I have. So don't mean to pick on Kendra. I just picked it out of the workflow I had. So you're going to put the department contact that will know the information about the contract if one of the contract managers has any questions. Sometimes it's the person entering the request, or sometimes it may be an assistant dean or dean, provost, something like that. So whoever knows more about the contract or has the information about the contract, that's the name we want to see here. And then I just pulled this address off of the website, but we do need the address information filled out and the email address for the contact and the phone number. Are there any questions on that so far? I know this is quick, but I can go over it one-on-one or any other time, that's fine. And now you'll see I have a check mark on department information. So now I'm on the second party information, and you'll type your vendor's name and the second party name. And I know this supplier is in AggieBuy. So I'm going to select the contractor supplier is in the system. If they are not in the system, I'll show you that in a second. So I'm going to say that they are in the system. Next, we're going to select the exact vendor in AggieBuy. So you'll click on the magnifying glass. And I'm typing Dealers Electric. And search. And even though I didn't type the full name, it still found Dealers Electric. And I'm going to select, and you'll see that it shows the vendor I just selected. The next two questions are regarding foreign vendors. Depending on how they're answered, they may, here on main campus, they route to our export control office. And then on our second party contact information, this is the person at the company that we're working with. Their name, address. We strongly suggest using the contact email address, not using a generic like info@Dealers Electric, but getting the actual person's exact email address, because it could go to a shared mailbox and get lost. And if your contract manager has questions or needs to send the contract for signature, it's not a good email address to use for questions or for getting the signatures. And then our last question here, will more than one contractor supplier be participating in the contract? We can have contracts with, most common is one vendor. We can have 15 vendors. Sometimes with the counties, like in the Brazos Valley, they have an interagency agreement. There could be 15 vendors. I'm going to answer yes, that I have more than one vendor. And then you would fill out the questions for that second vendor. If you have more than one vendor, I would just ask that you provide that information on a Word document and attach it.
Can you give an example if the vendor was not in your supplier already?
Sure. Oh,
Like
yes, I'm sorry. I forgot to do that. Okay, so Dealers Electric is not an Aggie buy. Thank you for bringing that up. I wasn't able to find them on my search. So I will type new supplier and save. And this is going to add 2 steps in the contract request workflow, which we'll get to in just a second. So these are the steps to do if the vendor is not an Aggie buy. You'll select the contractor supplier is not in the system and type new supplier. I guess that would search too. So we could search new supplier there as well. Okay. Any other questions on the screen? Okay. So I'm going to go to review and complete. I have all green checkboxes now. So that means that I'm ready to complete this request. And you would click on the blue button, and then it will go to the first step, and that's starting your contract request workflow review. Before you do that, if you have any notes, if this is a rush, you can make a note like that. And let's say that the contract request is already in the workflow process and you received a new attachment from the vendor, you can go into the discussion I'm going to reply to the discussion, and I can add a new attachment in the discussion as the workflow is going through the approvals. So here's our workflow. The first stop is the document catch step. And all the requests right now are going to stop with Dolores. Dolores is going to go through and verify all the information on the contract request and how it's filled out. Once she has done that, she'll approve the contract request. And the next step is Teresa. Teresa will receive an email notification. She can click on that on the email she receives. There'll be an option at the bottom of the email to click on the to go to the contract request. Once Teresa looks through the contract request and sees everything looks okay, she can approve that. Next, it will go to Tammy. Same thing, review. And the last departmental approval step will go to Joanne. Once Joanne has gone through and verified everything looks good, Joanne will approve. And then it will go back to Dolores in the contract administration step. Are there any questions on that? I know that was quick. No?
Can you show them how to set up the contract request search screen to filter out the ones that either they submitted or the ones that they want to pay attention to by work group?
Okay. So I'm going to go back to the ribbon on the left-hand side and request and search contract request. This is right now, this is showing all the contract requests that have been submitted. You can look, you can search by the participant in the workflow. I'm sorry, that's been in a contract request. Whoops. And we can also filter. One thing I use it for is searching for a participant that has approved a step in the contract request. If someone calls and says, I'm looking for a contract request that Brian submitted, but Brian is on vacation and I need to see the status of it. So this is going to show me that Brian, these are all the contract requests that Brian has touched. And that can be narrowed down a little bit more if needed. We can also sort by the form status, so I can see all the ones that have been completed, requests that have been returned and rejected. Those are the different statuses on the form. And then we also, I didn't mention this, on the contract request, when you create the contract request, it will give you this form number. If you ever call or email and you have a question about a contract request, we're going to ask for that form number to help us search if you know it. Another search on here, Brian, that so I'll just show you this real quick. I have no. This is my home screen. It automatically takes me, and mine's going to look different. It's going to show me all the contract requests that are routing that need an approval right now. I can change that home screen. This will be the main home screen that y'all come to when you log into AggieBuy, and then as you're working in it, you may change your default home screen. Any questions on that? for the searches.
So before we
Correct.
transition over to the contract, are there any other questions about the request? Maybe situations in which it should be used? A little bit more on certain areas of it? Just let us know.
This is Vicky. I have a question. How do we know if do we have to do a request first or a contract first? A requisition request or a contract request first? Because I've got a Stericycle pending request that I was told to make, and I've got bills and stuff that I have to pay for that, but it's on a past PO with UHV. How do I go about doing? What's the process for that?
Dolores, do you know what you want them to do?
You'll be putting in a requisition request to pay the voucher. And you're going to use your contract that you already have in place. And you'll attach your contract as your documentation for that requisition. Does that make sense?
Unfortunately, no, because I looked and it said that it was that there's been a requisition number added. And I guess Famous has passed budget check. And so if I already have a contract, a UHV and contract in place, do I have to do a contract? Do I have to do this step?
So the contract is already created. You have an existing contract. All you're doing is paying. You're making a payment towards this contract, correct?
I would be, yeah.
So your contract is already established.
Right.
You have a file, a contract file in a folder somewhere, and that contract you'll attach to the requisition for payment as your backup documentation.
Okay, yes.
So you're just doing a requisition.
Okay, so if it was going to be a new contract, then this is where I would start here, do a contract, get it approved, and then do the requisition for payment.
You would do both, correct? You would do the requisition for payment, and then you would do the contract that you would create a new contract to be paid.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And Amy, did you have your hand up? Did you have a question?
Yes, I did, but I think I just heard the answer. So we request the contracts from y'all, correct? So we do that first, and then the final copy goes through to Dolores, right?
You're going to request the contract in this module.
Right.
So instead of
directly
submitting a
from-
cover sheet, instead of
Direct-
submitting cover sheets, you would put your request in through the module here.
Okay, but that's dealing directly with the system, and then it goes through you as the manager, and then it's finalized, right? Is that the workflow?
Yes,
Okay,
but it's not system. I mean, the contract that you put in is going to come to me. Anyone from the campus, everything will still flow through the contract office here on campus, nothing through system. It'll come through me or to me. So instead of in the past where everyone would complete a cover sheet and send me a cover sheet as a request, instead of sending a cover sheet to me or an email, this is where you're going to put in that request on the little badge in this
Okay,
module, the contract
and
module.
who is the contact at the system if there is a problem? Is that you, Tammy?
Yes.
Okay, Okay. But, and it can do complex contracts, like, so if like, say I'm trying to get a contract with a local hospital and they're gonna need clinical people, but they're also gonna need like accountants and HR people, and we can get all of that in one contract, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
So this,
That's what I need.
this contract request form is just an electronic version of what you guys used to use. It's not a PDF or a transmittal form or an email. All this is taking the place of is the intake form. The contract itself will still be worked by Dolores. It'll still be either generated or handcrafted or use approved templates. This is not hamstringing the content of any contract in any way.
All right.
Any other questions on the contract request? Oh, I see one from Santiago.
I have a question also.
Okay,
Because I came right in the very beginning and I missed the first few sentences. When you're gonna do a new contract, you do a contract request. And you said our school is requiring a requisition, correct?
If your contract is paying someone, yes.
if
And
if
so-
it's an expense or paying someone.
Right, well, for example, I do speakers for the nonprofit center. So I need to go in and do a request and a requisition at the very beginning?
Correct. You will do both.
Where do I find this requisition? I didn't, when y'all were going through this, I didn't see where that comes up. It's in the ribbon also?
It's this one right here.
Okay. Oh, I see it, requisitions.
Well,
Mhm.
to start, that's to find an existing one.
Oh, sorry.
To start a requisition, you'll go to your shopping homepage. And this should have been covered in some of the FMO sessions that they did on how to shop and submit requisitions. So if you just go to shopping home, to start your requisition, right there on the left, it says non-catalog item above the search bar.
Uh-huh.
That's where you'll start. So you'll select the supplier, you'll enter the line items. And then once you finish this screen, it'll bring you to basically your shopping cart where you can then finalize the requisition with like your accounting information, the shipping addresses, all that kind of stuff.
And the requisition is what encumbers the money?
That is correct.
Okay, and then I have one more question. I was going through the A&M policies and stuff because I was going to the links on contracts, trying to figure it out. And I had read where it said if you have a speaker and they provide their own quote or contract, then you don't need a contract. Is that correct or not correct?
That, depending on what site you saw it on, that most likely is specific to Texas A&M University. Victoria is, since it's its own university, has its own rules. And right now you will continue to process things the way that you have. The only thing that's changing in these situations right now is the system that's being used to process those transactions.
Okay, that's what we needed. We didn't know which way to follow. So thank you.
Yeah, until you hear otherwise, or those forms or those rules are updated, you'll continue to follow the rules that you have before. The back office will interact with main campus and system a little bit differently than they did UH system. But as far as how you guys purchase things and enter into agreements, not much will change.
Okay, so speakers still have to have one. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions on the request or kind of the process, which form to use? All right, I can take over and start showing the contract stuff. All righty. Okay, so this is the search contract screen. I'm gonna go to one that came from a request, so you can see the entire thing through. Okay, so this came from a contract request. So this is the request that Tammy was just on, or the type of request that Tammy was just on. This one was one that we submitted for a company called Spellbook. We filled everything out. It worked its way all the way through the approvals, and then it became a contract. And once your request becomes a contract, you can toggle back and forth with the hyperlinks. So there's 21083, there's 21083, and you can see 6653, 6653. So these two documents are linked. That request became this contract. To search for your contracts, you can either go just like you did. You went to your request that you submitted, you found the linked contract, you click the little hyperlink to take you to it, or you can just search. So contracts, search. At first, it's going to be a little intimidating. You're going to see 52,343 different contracts that are in there. You can use this text bar to kind of search by company or something else that might have to do with the contract. The other thing you can do is you can start using these filters along the side to say, okay, well, I really only care about Victoria's contracts. So I'm going to come down to first party. And you can filter by Victoria. So now there's one in there. It was a test one that we did during a demonstration for the back office. But that's a real quick way to filter down for Victoria. You'll see some of the information here. The second party is with the contractor or the vendor with whom we are contracting for the service, good, whatever it may be. The contract number, you'll see that yours will have 31 right here. The first two digits are the fiscal year that it was started, then the member ID. So you'll be able to tell by looking at the contract number that this is a Victoria contract. If I go back to some of these other ones, you'll see that this is a Health Science Center contract, this is a Texas A&M contract, etc. Once you've found your contract, well, actually, let me show you one more thing. If you are searching by department and you want to save that search for yourself, instead of using department code, you're going to use something called a work group. This is, instead of an accounting structure, this more follows the hierarchical or the organizational structure of the university. So you come down here to begin typing, and you'll find, where's Victoria? Am I missing it? Paul, Jeremy?
I'm looking right now. It should be there. Because we just built them the other day.
Okay. While they figure out why this is not showing up, all you'll do is you'll expand. You'll notice this is the exact same tree that's used on the request. And you'll just find your specific office. Let's use ours, finance, contract administration, search. So now this is going to find all the contracts that are specific for contract administration. So there's the Spellbook one we saw, some test ones, a few other ones. And then if that's what I want to always see are my contracts, you can come up here and save this as a search, or you can pin your filters. If you'll notice, every time I go to contracts, search contracts, it's showing me mine that are in process because those are the filters that I pinned. You can do this on requisitions, invoices, purchase orders, any of the other modules within AggieBuy. You can pin those filters so you only see the things that you want to see when you first open it up. If you save your searches, once again, this is contracts, requisitions, invoices, POs, you save your searches. You can put a nickname. If you do not have a personal folder, you'll just click Add New, decide what folder it wants to go in, and save it. Then you'll have this My Searches tab, and you can have a bunch of different searches. If you are at a college level and you've got multiple departments, you can put all the departments here. You can create one for those that are in process. You can create one for those that are already in effect. Kind of whatever your work routine is, you can set up those shortcuts to help you get to see what you need to see sooner. So that's the search screen. Now I'm going to show you kind of the specific contract itself. So this is the contract. This is what the back office is going to see. This is what you're going to see. And I'm going to show you just a few of the places that you can look to find out the progress your contract is making. So one of the first things you see from the search screen are all the colors. These are the different statuses of the contract. So at a glance, you can see what the status of each contract is. On our homepage, our contracts page, so contracts.tamu.edu, you'll see there's a dashboard status key under training. This will show you what each of those statuses mean. So if you're looking at a contract that's in draft status, that means it is with contract administration. Dolores or Ron are looking at it, determining what needs to happen next. They could be redlining it. It could be in between rounds, but this means that it's with contract administration. Internal review means it's somewhere on Victoria's campus. It could be with information technology. It could be risk management. It could be with accessibility. It could be at OGC. Maybe it's up at legal at the system offices for review. It's somewhere within the university for review. External review means it's with the company. So whenever we're contracting with someone, there's another willing party involved. And so if we've got questions or we've got red lines or we've got changes, we have to send those over to the company via what's called an external review round for them to look at. Pending approval means that contract administration, Dolores and Ron, have finished everything that they need. They have submitted it for approval. Depending on the contract type and the contract value, it could be in an approval workflow. If it's a $50 speaker agreement, there's not going to be many steps. It's not going to spend any time in pending approval. But if it's a $3 million software license agreement, chances are it's going to have to go through a few different levels of approval before it can be sent for signature. Pending signature means that the DocuSign envelope is being set up. So all the approvals have been captured, and now it's waiting for that DocuSign envelope to be sent. It will change to out for signature as soon as DocuSign sends back confirmation that it has been sent successfully. So it shouldn't spend too much time in pending signature before it turns out for signature. As long as it's in this purple status, DocuSign is waiting for both parties, however many there are. There could be a couple, there could be 3, 4, 5 different signatures needed for that document. It's just waiting for all of those to come back. Once DocuSign confirms that all the signatures have been gathered, it will feed back into the system automatically and move it to executed. Executed in effect means it's within the period of performance. You may also see executed future, which means that the start date hasn't been reached yet. So if we go through and we negotiate a contract and the start date is January 1st, 2026, we finish everything we need, we get it signed, it's going to sit in executed future until it reaches that start date. So that's a quick way to look at the dashboard, the statuses of the contracts to know at a glance, this is where they are. I saw a question that says, is there a way you can search all the active contracts in one department? Yes, that's where you use that work group. Once we figure out why the work group for Victoria didn't show up, we'll be able to show y'all kind of a little bit more applicable for your campus. But you do search by what's called work group. And this is where you find your unique department. to filter down and say, I want to see the contracts for this. Then you save that search, and then that's what you'll see when you log in. All right, back at this one.
Hey, Brian, it's Paul.
Yep.
Yeah. So we can have you in the management group there. Try it again, please, if you don't mind.
Oh, if
Your
I'm not in the work
demonstration.
group, I can't see it. That's right. Okay. So back to results. Add filter, work group. And Victoria, there you are. Okay. So when you set up your searches,
Yep.
you'll expand it from Victoria, and then you'll find your division, and then you'll expand it even more. So if you're in academic support for academic affairs, you then find the college that you're in, save it. You could add multiple. You'll notice that if you select an upper level one, it does not automatically select everything underneath it. So just be cognizant of that when you're selecting yours. But that's how you find your specific department. If it is executed future, will we be able to attach it to a requisition? No. So let me answer that two ways. There's a yes and there's a no. So on your requisition, there is a free text field for contract number. You can put that contract number in there at any time. It doesn't need to be executed. It can be in process. It can be whatever. Now, if you're attaching it to a specific line item, like you're shopping from it, then you will not be able to shop from that contract until it's executed and in effect. So if you've got your contract with your line items on it, and I'll show you where those line items are in a bit, and you want to shop from that contract, you'll only be able to do so once that start date has passed. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I'm just worried about when I need to buy software, and I need to do a requisition, but the contract date won't start till the day that the license agreement is. So I may have to play with dates a little bit. That's where that question was coming from.
That will not prevent you from submitting a requisition. You can submit your requisition. You can free type that contract number in the text field, and you can go all the way to PO before that contract starts.
But
I would
won't let me
work
go
with
down
Dolores
there
and
click
Ron
it.
to coordinate what that looks like for your process.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep. Dolores will still get an executed standard agreement for us and send to the supplier vendor. So the best part is like this one is out for signature right now. When I go to the e-signature tab, this is who I set up for the DocuSign. They will all automatically get executed copies of the agreement. And whoever's listed as a stakeholder here will get notified that the contract has finished routing and is now executed. And you can go grab that executed agreement from your attachments. So you don't have to worry about emailing that stuff all over, making sure everyone's got the most current version. DocuSign will take care of that for you. All right, so let's go to one that actually has some review rounds to it. Okay, so this is what you're looking at an agreement. For the department, high level, you can see certain things like the type of agreement that it is, the other party that's involved. There's the second party right there. The start and end dates, which are also here. What version is this? Is this a renewal? Is this an amendment? If they're both 0, this is the original. This is who this contract is for, the department on our campus. Contract value, are we going to eventually send this for e-signature? Yes. That's high level stuff to look at the contract. How much is it for? Who's it with? When's it start and when's it end? If you want to keep tabs on the negotiation process, you'll come down to this review rounds tab. Here you will be able to track the progress of this agreement. So on March 10th, I sent this to the department, that Institute for Data Sciences, with some questions. They responded on April 24th. I attached those in the attachments. Actually, I think those are down in the communication center. And then I posed another question to them the next day about the delegated limit to the department. There was a question about how much was being spent on this, and we needed to clarify before we moved any further, and they responded the same day. I then sent the redlined agreement with 2 questions one about personally identifiable information for the students. And then there was a section that had a bunch of obligations for the university. And I said, hey, can we do these? Because I don't know. So that's the history of this negotiation, and it's currently right there right now. We sent most of this information back and forth in comments. You, as the end user, can view these comments, so you can see this was the initial question I sent, the department's response, following up. I sent them back about the $25,000. They said they are in compliance with all the suggestions, but they didn't actually answer my question about PII, so I sent that back to them actually this morning. So that's, you can keep history of that. Also in the communication center, this was the very first time that I reached out. Pleasure to speak with you. After review, there's a few questions we have within the margin of the document, respond within, so you can see what's going on. This one doesn't have any external review rounds. I'm gonna see if I can find one. This one's got one. It's in external review right now. You can see we were waiting on accessibility. Then we sent it to OGC. Sent the OGC language around termination. So there was a question that was up to the department to decide. Then we sent the red lines out to the company on July 24th. They responded on August 25th with some legal updates. We sent that to our PCI compliance because this is a merchant card processing agreement. So they will be processing credit cards on our behalf. And we also had to loop in IT security because they had some changes for that. Now it's back with the company, 9/17. And if you come to the communications center under external, you can see the communication that was sent back and forth between the vendor and us. So as an end user, rather than sending Teams messages or emails or phone calls to constantly check the status of the agreement, you now have the ability to go directly into the contract itself and see where it's at in the process. If you haven't seen it move in a while, you can add a comment. We have this quite a few times. Status check. Can you provide a status update? And then send it to the contract manager that's listed, and they'll get an email saying that someone has left them a comment on the contract. They click a button and they go straight to it. To find out who your contract manager is, down here in users and contacts, this stakeholder is going to be the person from the department. Normally the one who submits it will be added here automatically. There is not a limit to how many people we can add at this spot. So if your department wants 2 or 3 people added there, just let them know in that contract request form, hey, please add Joe, Bob, Steve, and Mary as the stakeholders so we all get notified of things that are going on. As I move the contract through its process, those stakeholders are notified that I sent an external review round and provides them a copy of the message. When I submit it into workflow, they'll get a message. When it's executed, they'll get a message. So everyone here will get notified of the status of this contract. This is who your contract manager is. So it's either going to be Dolores or Ron. I don't know if there's any other people who process those, but that would be who to reach out to say, hey, this has been a while, or I see it's been with the company for 3 weeks. Do you want me to reach out to the company, to my contact, to see if I can get this moving along? Those types of things. Any questions about what we're looking at, the contract itself or the overarching process?
Hey, Brian, it's Paul.
Yeah.
One thing on the subject of these users here, excuse me, A&M made the decision a while back. If you see that visibility, users from work group there in the middle of the screen. So we've turned it on to where all of our shoppers essentially, I'm not sure what we're looking at here, but you can see those are the roles that can use this. They won't get the notifications. And like Brian said, so you got to name them as a stakeholder on the specific contract to get a notification. But if you want to open these up to your campus, you can certainly do that globally, we can do that for you, just let us know. I think we have, yeah, you see the stakeholders, O2 Shopper, O2 Shopper Extended View. So basically all of our folks up here can see all of our contracts. Now, you can make it confidential on the upper right there. You can see make confidential. That's up to your contracts managers. I don't know how many times we do those. And then visibility controls, that's where you would say, well, how much can they actually see? You can give them the full view in the UI of the contract. They can't edit anything. Or you can give them a partial view there. Yep, there you go. And that's your option, however it best meets the needs or business requirements there in Victoria. So just some options. But don't worry that not all 3,871 are going to get notifications. Not at all. Only the one that you named there where Brian showed you, we can do that. The rest of them get to simply see the contract if you'd like to make that accessible to them. So, okay.
Now, if the wrong boxes are checked on notifications for work group, then all 3,871 will get notified of stuff. But that's not for y'all to check as the department. That's for Dolores and Ron to check. We're at our 4 o'clock. We're just a little bit past. If you have any questions about the training today, or as you get playing with it, I forgot. It's been 6 months since the training and I'm just submitting my first one. Please feel free to reach out to Dolores, Ron. We're available here at main campus to answer any questions you have via Teams, email, whatever it is. We're going to see if we can get this recording over to Vanjie and Dolores to distribute. And I will stay on for a few minutes if you've got a few questions that you want to just maybe ask once everyone jumps off. But thank you all so much for joining us and have a wonderful 54 minutes in your day.
Thank you.
Hi, Brian.
Thank you.
This is Diana. I had asked about the affiliation agreements with the school districts.
Yeah.
Is there a template maybe that y'all use for placing student teachers with the school districts that we could use?
I think we do. I know we've got training affiliation agreements. We've got plenty of clinical affiliation agreements. Dolores, are you still on here?
Yes.
Do y'all have a current template that you use for the student teachers, or do you want us to just try to find one that we use to send over?
It would need to be something on that you send over. What we have specifically states UHV all over it.
Okay. We just got a giant bucket of new contract templates. I'll look through and see if there's anything that's more up to date than what we have in our library. We're updating the library right now. But if Dolores, if you could send me an email asking for that, that way I can flag it and make sure that it doesn't fall off my radar.
I will.
We've got plenty of templates out there. I know we do for students to go into like hospitals and stuff like that. I just don't too much with the education college, but I'm pretty sure we can find one.
Thank you
Would
for
it
that.
be,
It's the
it's not a
residency.
supervisor agreement, is it?
No, this one is for
Okay.
actual student teachers to go into the schools.
Yeah.
I know the relationship they're
Okay.
talking about, but I haven't drafted one like that to know which template to pull.
So just to come back to this, y'all should have templates for academic, like I said, for a mixed contract, right? Where it might have clinical people and like business or liberal arts
Yeah.
students.
We've-
Okay, so we
we've
don't
got-
need to worry if UHV didn't have anything like that.
No,
Y'all
so
do.
what we'll do is, and we'll help Dolores and Ron along the way as well. Essentially, what you'll submit on behalf of the college is the statement of work. Who
Yeah.
is doing what, when, where, and why. And then
Yeah.
we'll have the template that we can drop that scope of work into.
Okay,
That way it's compliant, it makes sense, and it's clear to everyone whose responsibility is what task.
Okay.
And most of the time for our templates, for what you're describing, the statement of work is, you know, a couple pages long, could be 2 pages, 5 pages, 10 pages, whatever. It's
Right.
usually just added to one of the standard templates as like Exhibit A. And
Right.
so up in the contract template, it just says the services will be performed in accordance with Exhibit A. And then whatever y'all submitted down there just gets added.
Okay.
I know it
Okay.
sounds complicated, but the first time that we work through it, it'll make sense.
Okay. When will we have, do we have access now? When will we have access to start? Because I have some students that I've been trying to get contracts for so they can get started on their internships.
So you can go ahead and submit those contract requests
Okay.
right now. And then
Okay.
as soon as they get to Dolores and she gets to drafting that first one, we'll be available for her to reach out, or she can take a first stab at it and then send it to us and say, hey, does this make sense? But yeah, you're in the A&M system. You can use our templates. We'll be more than happy to help.
Thank you, Brian.
Absolutely. I'm assuming all the other dots, they walked away from their desk and they just haven't logged off yet.
I don't know. They might be there listening. They might be there listening, but I'm still here. So
I have a
yes.
question.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, so I do the internships, and I guess, I mean, is this how you do the internships as well? I'm a little lost. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm confused, one of the two.
So you'll just, on these internships, we've got both kinds. Will you be
Okay.
spending any money on this?
No.
Okay, so then you would just submit the contract request, answer
Okay.
the questions as appropriately for that specific relationship as you can, and then
Okay.
it will route through the process to get to Dolores and Ron for them to draft the agreement and send it out for signature.
Okay.
And Dr. Tucker, we're
Yes,
going to be
ma'am.
using, we'll be using DocuSign for the signature process. So the contract, once it's ready to go out, it will be sent through this contract module to the facility, and the
Okay.
facility will review and sign through DocuSign, and then it'll come back to the campus for the signatures here on campus.
Okay. Okay. And is this here in our apps, this program
Yes.
here?
In the Aggie Buy app, on your single
Okay.
sign-on, when you go
Uh-huh.
to the Aggie Buy, and I can work with you. We can sit individually and work together. If you want to, we want to work on submitting like your first one.
Okay, great, great.
The first one or two, same thing with the different departments. Santiago, I will work with you. Hopefully, Ron and I would like to have another training on campus, here on campus. Maybe in one of the learning labs.
Okay.
And we'll schedule something so that y'all can come and maybe I can walk around and help you, and have you bring, the information so that we can work on together.
Okay, great. That'd be great. Thank you for your help. Thank you. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
Right. Y'all have a good one. Thank you.
You too.
You too, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Aurora, do you have any questions?
So when we create, I just want to make sure I have this clear in my head. When we have a new contract, we do a contract request, correct?
Yes.
That's like the cover sheet.
Yes, a new contract, a renewal, an amendment. Yes, this is
It's
replacing the
all a
cover sheet
request.
process. Uh-huh.
Okay,
It's becoming an electronic document submission.
okay. And there was another contract that was mentioned earlier.
The requisition?
Yes,
Okay, the requisition is the part of the contract that you would need to do if you are paying a supplier for your contract. So most of your contracts that you do, you will be making a payment for the service or the
that's
agreement,
after.
correct?
That's after we
Yes.
do the contract, correct?
We're going to do it hand in hand here. So you'll be submitting both. A requisition and the contract request. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Mm.
A little extra work. The same people are probably approving everything, but the requisition is going to set your money aside.
Okay.
Does
But
that make
first
sense?
we do the contract request. Correct?
You can do whichever first.
Oh.
You're going to do them hand in hand. So
Okay.
they would both need to be done.
And the requisition. Okay. I will try.
And like I
you.
said, we're all learning, so we'll be working with you. And
Okay.
I will be happy to sit with you in Teams or in your office and work with you on submitting the first few.
Okay.
Work on the
Awesome.
first few. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right, sounds like we're good.
Yes. For now.
Yeah, if we need to do this again, like sometime in October, just let us know.
Okay. We will. More than likely, yes. We will probably have something, a session in a, like I said, in a lab here where we will do teams as well. That way, if they have any questions that I know I won't be able to answer, then maybe one of you can assist with that. And hopefully by then we'll have all our contracts in the system imported so that they can search for their contract and they can look and see.
Yeah,
And maybe some will have where they need to submit an amendment to those agreements and to extend the terms or increase the overall contract amount.
yep. Yeah, we did, when we launched at a different campus, one of the things that we did was we would just have we'd pick a computer lab and have open office hours. And it was basically bring your quote, bring your invoice, bring your contract, come and go session, and we'll work through as they needed. And it seemed to work out real great. And then as soon as attendance started falling off, then we knew we didn't need to do it anymore.
Yes. And that sounds very doable for here as well. I know I have an extra computer in my office. It's not an extra one, but my student worker sits there. She's not here very often or many hours of the week. So I could always have them come here and I could work with them on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate all your help.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes, you too. Thank you.